Hello, I'm Danielle Green, and I am here to tell you about my workshop for strategic product research. A little bit about me. My background is in cognitive psychology, and I have been working in product for the past decade. I've worked for more than 15 different organizations, and I've been in-house, I've been a freelance consultant, I've been full-time, fractional, a contributor, a leader. I've also been called a researcher, a designer, an analyst, a strategist, and a product manager. And for the past couple of years, I've been a part-time professor. So I'm the director of the UX master's program in applied cognitive psychology at Claremont Graduate University in Southern California. And as the program director, I've created the entire UX curriculum for my students. And I've been teaching those 5 different UX courses that I've developed. And through this journey of having to really think through my own practices and gather and synthesize all of these different frameworks to teach students, different cohorts of students year after year, it's started me down this path of being dissatisfied with conventional UX and product research when it comes to strategy. So I've noticed that what we're doing today as researchers, it's just not working. We're taught to deliver some of these key artifacts, things like user personas, journey maps, jobs to be done. Those sorts of frameworks are tried and true conventional practices in the UX world when we start to think about strategic research. And these discovery practices get us something. They're really useful. That's why we keep using them. But what I'm noticing is that when it comes to making strategic decisions, they don't typically set teams up for success. I always feel like some of these traditional methods are a little bit lacking. They're really good in a tactical space, but they're not very good in a strategic space. And as UX researchers, product managers, people who are doing research, we need to step up into the strategic space more than we've ever done before, I think. So I'm dissatisfied. I'm dissatisfied with my own curriculum. I'm dissatisfied with my own past practices. And frankly, I want to do better. I wanted to give my students more. I want them to have a better starting place. I want them to have a really strong foothold in this job market as they enter the workforce, especially when it comes to strategic research. So what did I do? I analyzed all of my past work, typical researcher, analyzed all of my past work, looking at my successes and my failures. And I talked to dozens and dozens of researchers, product managers, product leaders. And I've put together a new framework that I'm calling the Strategic Product Research Framework that I think starts us off generally at a better place than some of these conventional tactics. The underlying principle here is that almost every organization needs certain critical information to be able to make informed, successful strategic decisions. If we don't have that set of critical information, we guess at it, and sometimes we guess right, and sometimes we guess wrong. And what I'm seeing is that across domains, across business types, business models, that critical information is very similar. And it lends itself to a little bit of a packaging as a framework so that we can all start at a better place when it comes to what information does your team need, does your leadership team need to make strategic decisions. I've designed this framework and it covers 4 different areas. I call them the 4 strategic vantage points. There are needs, which maps loosely to what we call the problem space, but with some different nuance. Then there's people, which maps loosely to the user, but again, with some additional insight, additional nuance. There's context, competitive landscape, market factors, the people's environment. And then there's value. How do we effectively meet the needs of the people in their context? So these are the 4 strategic vantage points. And within each vantage point, every organization needs to be able to answer a certain pretty short set of questions. And I call these critical observations. I use the word observations because I want to make the distinction between observations and beliefs. Beliefs are things that we feel are true, but observations, they have to be based on data. So organizations can choose to make decisions without observations, without data, but they will just be taking on a greater risk when they do that. And when you don't have these critical observations, then your team inevitably has strategic blind spots at one of these 4 vantage points, or multiple of these 4 vantage points. So the more critical observations that you replace with guesses, with beliefs that are not based on observation, the more you're operating in your blind spots, and the greater risk you take, the more vulnerable your team is to failure. And the more data behind each critical observation, the more likely you are to make strategic decisions that hit the mark. So during the workshop, for each critical observation within each vantage point, I provide you the best practices, including which research methods tend to give you the data that you need. And from those best practices, you're going to piece together your team's customized strategic research plan. And that will address your team's strategic blind spots. So the goal is to provide workshop participants with, first, a way to assess your team's, your organization's strategic blind spots, call them out, make them known. Second, covering the critical observations that you need for each strategic vantage point. So you know what they are, you know what information you're after to fuel your team with the right information to make good decisions. And then third, a strategic research plan that you create that you can implement tomorrow that will set your organization up for success. Thank you for considering, and I hope to see you in my workshop. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and have a great day.